Hello and welcome to the Outlaw Bills Sports Network, where today we're going to discuss: is the NFL rigged? Is it? Is there going to be a Super Bowl 59 boycott? We will see. Together we're going to dust the play, the infamous play from the AFC Championship game. Did they or did they not get the first down? So with me, I got my friend Admiral Teague and Joe's Atmosphere, and maybe another surprise later on. We'll see, shall see. But we're going to get into it, the thick of it, here on the Outlaw Bill Sports Network, discussing about the NFL.
I just want to say first that I'm fairly sure the New York Jets are going to win next year's Super Bowl pretty easily after an undefeated season.
Is that what the script says, Teague? Is that what the script?
I have spoken to Roger
written
Goodell, who writes the script. Yeah, the script next year says Patriots are going to be in last place again, unfortunately. But you know what? In 3 or 4 years, I firmly believe that Darth Belichick will come back, having scouted college the whole time and waited out the best quarterback of this 5-year period.
I can't
If
believe
he finds a guy
coaching,
year
man.
one, it's not coaching. He's scouting for his next NFL QB, coming back, taking that record and leaving after 2 years and throwing the guy to his fate. Tom Brady will be like his quarterback's coach. Tom will step down from the booth and be like, "What you need to do is cheat. Just let a little air out of the ball. It'll all be fine."
Oh my God. Belichick is in his 70s. So is Pete Carroll. I cannot believe he's back with the
So's
Raiders.
Aaron Rodgers.
Wow. Yeah, right. He looked that
Former
way
Jet-
after he came back from that Achilles injury, didn't he? Damn.
Former Jets
I
coach
can't move anymore.
Pete Carroll. I guess the bottom line is he should have been made general manager and allowed to freaking develop, because after that terrible season where he gets destroyed in the Tuck game, like 5 games in undefeated. Hey, Padawannabe is his system is warming up. That means that we have almost as much talent in our broadcasting booth as our friends from Amazon, Fitzy and the crew. I think we should talk about that first for a minute. Right here in front of you is the better broadcasting crew than you will get any Thursday night.
Well, they have
year.
the oldest guy doing play-by-play
Yeah,
in Michaels. I mean, good
Al
Lord.
Michaels. I think he's retired now.
Is he really?
Did
Yeah,
he
he's
retire
done.
finally?
I think it's done.
I don't think he's
Lord.
going to be back in 2026,
I
2025.
love you,
He's
Al,
he-
but damn,
You know,
past
He's
time.
playing rhythm guitar with Black Sabbath for their final gig at the Man U show, and then they're all going to retire
Well, does
together.
anybody sound more disgruntled than him when there's a bad game on? And that's 50% of the time on Thursday Night Football. So, he just
our
sounds
joke-
like he's having a bad time in that booth, like they're wasting his time or something.
Our joke is that he's not in the booth. Our joke is that he's green screened in and he's at home, because Kirk Herbstreit is like conspicuously far away from him. Now, I think that might
Right.
be like COVID protocols anyway, right? Like, don't put them, like, Al's pretty old, keep him away.
Yeah.
It's cold out, leave Al alone. But our joke is like, our assistant producer, my grandson, needs to move the monitor closer. You freaking idiot! You have one job, Kirk. I don't know what the hell you're talking about, but this game sucks. Like, that's my Al Michaels impression from this year. And by the way, it's fairly accurate. By the way, I want to show everybody this jersey.
Sam Darnold.
Sam
In
Darnold.
By the way, in breaking news, guys, Sam Darnold was just sacked for the 10th time outside his house, going from his car to his fucking home, sacked in his driveway with a bundle of groceries.
By the same defense that couldn't stop the Washington guys. That's it.
Meanwhile, that sack record was in trouble like a day later with that next playoff game. How many times did we had 8 sacks or 7 in the
There's
next
a bunch
game?
of
Yeah,
that one too, yeah.
we were rooting for the sacks. I mean, we were rooting for the 10th and maybe the 11th.
We were rooting
sack
for me to
those
be right
games.
when we were rooting for me to be right after sack number 2, where I said this is going to be a record number of sacks. He's not going to be able to shake it off. He's going to bring it on himself. Watch him run into it. And they were like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "I've seen this expression on his face before. This is the Sam Darnold I know. Watch what he's going to do. He's going to start trying to thread the needle. He's only going to throw into triple coverage, and he's going to find a way to make every stupid fucking thing he can do happen." And damn it.
Yeah,
Our
Admiral
quarterback-
knows better than anybody why that guy became a backup after he left.
Got a $200.
Quarterback
I've
should know
got a
better.
$200 reason why I know the guy's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, Yeah, it's a shame. But hey, they did. You got to give it to that coach. He got the most out of him that year. So
He did, and he
right.
stepped into an ideal situation. It did prove that Robert Saleh isn't all that, and it did prove something that I've been saying for something like 25 years. Maybe if we had an offensive line, we could judge our quarterbacks, but
Yeah.
And Aaron Rodgers,
Well, that seems to be a league-wide problem, bro. Building an offensive line seems to be one of the toughest things in the NFL nowadays. I mean, you look at the two teams that are in there now. The Eagles probably have the best one in the league. I mean, really, when you
look
really
at the
think
difference
about it.
in offensive lines between Matthew Stafford's days in Detroit and Matthew Stafford's offensive line now. Now, it didn't do him a lot of good in the playoffs, but on his way there, he had that extra moment. And in this league where we only have 4 franchise quarterbacks in any given year, we have 4 more guys who, if you give them everything they need, will perform to franchise level, and everyone else is just a fucking piece of shit who's going to have a good day or a bad day. That seems to be
Then you got
the
guys
NFL.
like Joe Burrow that have to make so many moves because he's got a bad line. That's the guy I feel bad for, dude.
And you feel bad
he's
for
the
the
modern
fact
day
that
Dan Marino, dude. He went to a friggin' Super Bowl his second year in the league, and he's never going to see another one unless he gets out of Cincinnati because that team is so poor. They don't have the money to put people around him. They don't.
It took him a little too long to get good, right?
Yeah.
Like his first team gives up on him after doing a real big build around him. He's a young guy. You're only young once, but what happened? He got too passionate. I think he got angry at his own fans. There was no rehabilitating the situation where he was. Not that he'd played so horrible, but I think he mouthed off too much. Then he lands in a place where it starts to kind of work out for him, but they're broke as shit and they've been losers to their entire existence in the league. Those 2 Super Bowls notwithstanding, Boomer Esiason a little better than Joe Burrow, even though Joe Burrow is real good.
He's fantastic, man. He really is. Imagine that guy with a line. He'd slice people up, man. It's ridiculous.
Remember when his parents went on vacation in New York and he got lost and ran into Trump?
He does look that young. You're right. Yeah. He does look that young, dude. He does.
No, but Macaulay Culkin and him are ringers. Macaulay Culkin went as Joe Burrow for Halloween.
He could play him in the movie, right?
He's 50, but he looks great. Yeah. How old is Macaulay these days?
Ridiculous, yeah. But
it is.
Go ahead.
Here's the question I asked both of you. The NFL's looking more like entertainment than actual sport because it looks to be they're in bed with all the betting sites because you see the commercials on the games, right? All these different sports books betting, so it's a $1 billion industry, right?
Maybe
so
more.
That's one reason to make you think a lot of fans and upset a lot of fans that the game is being rigged and that
Well, not only is it being rigged, but we have taken the phone in your pocket and weaponized it beyond what the OTB people ever thought they could do because at some point they stop racing. And we've all seen this commercial, and did you guys scoff at it the way I did? Did you mess up your bet on who's going to get the first touchdown? You can double down and bet again and lose more money on who's going to get the second. I know, right? What are we doing? This is like how an entire generation of people stayed frat boys till 50 until the wrong guy drank, or the right person drank Bud Light and showed them the error of their ways. It's like, you can't live the way they sell it to you in a football game or on football pregame or whatever. And that's the problem here. The people start to think that simplistically.
Well, you guys may or may not know this, but I work in a gambling rehab residential house. I'm a resident manager at one, and it's the same one that my spouse went through back in 2011. So I have a unique perspective on this. I'll put it to you this way: I'd
be willing to bet everyone you're working with that they can't put off.
Right.
Good luck to them. Good luck to them.
Oh yeah, come on, man. They're people with problems. Look, gambling is just like every other addiction. It's entertainment for some. It's uncontrollable, compulsive.
I think the drug dealer will cut you off before you get to the point where they're going to have to kill you to get that money back. Have you seen Bad Lieutenant?
They won't. They'll take every dollar. Yeah. But here's the thing. I stopped watching ESPN a few years ago whenever they started doing that. Whoever the cue ball is that does the late Sports Center,
Scott Van Pelt.
Yeah, that's it. He's got a friggin' bit on there called Bad Beats, how teams fuck up the point spread. And I'm like, really? You guys are just going all in with betting on the fucking show that I watch to get my sports news from.
Do you
Come
think
on,
they're
man.
trying
Give me
to
a break.
push betting, or is it responsible
She
enough?
was, man. You think?
It's
well, no, here's my-
every other commercial.
You
Yes,
got
yes.
Kurt Warner out there telling you how to bet responsibly.
Well, I meant just if Van Pelt specifically. Like, I haven't seen the piece you saw, right? So just based on what you told
he
me,
did it every week. It was called Bad Beat. Yeah,
just based on what you told me though, that could be interpreted as right. Like, here's why you shouldn't bet the point spread.
Right,
it gets fucked up all the
maybe
time.
He's trying to keep people from doing
maybe
it.
maybe he's their plausible deniability. It's like, we're running like enough commercials here. Like, we're running 2 houses worth of commercials.
They have their own sports book. Kind of say you're not in with it. You know what I'm saying? The ESPN.
Well, let's be honest. Yeah, we're talking. They have their own sports book through Disney. It's FanDuel, I believe, is theirs, right?
No,
what's theirs?
It's called ESPN.
Oh, they're outright saying it.
It's outright ESPN.
So, guys, this is going to happen.
It's ESPN
I want to make this
sports book. It is.
Who will help me make this movie? You ready? It's called 80 grand for Brady. It's about a guy who takes his family to Disneyland to tell them that because Tom Brady gave them a sports tip, he bet all the money they had plus the money he cash advanced on ESPN Duel, and he tells them at the ESPN zone in downtown Disney that they've lost everything to the rat, but let's have one last week in Disneyland to get over the fact that everything we own is going to Disney. It's like, buy whatever you want. The credit cards are getting maxed out on Friday, and they're the only people who can have a good time at Disneyland because they were already broke when they got there. That's the moral of the story.
Wow.
But that's going to be reality. Someone will tell their family I lost it all, or will be in the ESPN zone in Disneyland when they lose. I mean, this is going to happen.
There's so many out there, though.
There's so many sports books now, and they're right at fingertips. They're right here. If you want to put them on your phone,
they're just one app on their phone.
I'm seeing, doing what I do, I'm seeing more and more guys in their 20s come through the house.
Yep, I bet.
Guys that are, I think we had a kid that was still in college come through last summer. I mean, I'm looking at this going, damn, that you know, to be losing that kind of money and get that addicted to it, you know, it's just a shame. And it's a concern. I mean, I was concerned when I saw that thing that Van Pelt was doing. I'm really concerned. There's a team in Vegas. That's having sports teams in Vegas is just
insane.
What planet am I living on, man?
Fucking insane. You know? Yeah, we were never supposed to see that. Remember when people got suspended for going to Vegas? Hello, Michael Jordan went to Atlantic City and played cards all night. Does everyone know that he also bet on himself to lose and planned on blowing the game to make some money because he was going to win the series? We all know it.
It's such a shame, man. Yeah, I mean, I understand where people think that it's rigged. And look, if you guys really think about it, you know, I'm a Seahawks fan. If you remember Super Bowl 40, that was one of the most criminal officiating disasters in Super Bowl history, man. We put up, 520 yards of offense and only came away with 10 points. They knew Sean Alexander, the guy whose jersey I'm wearing today, was going to score every time they got inside the 20. So all of a sudden holding calls came out all over the place and stuff whenever we got in the 20s. And then when Matt Hasselbeck finally throws an interception trying to come back from this just horrible tank job they were doing to us. And I understand why they did it. It was the bus. He was the face of the NFL at the time, and he was playing at home in Detroit. You know, great story. They were scripting for that one, right? But it was my
because they
beloved
screwed
Seahawks
Bam Morris.
They did, right? Anyway, when Matt finally throws the pick in the fourth quarter, and he makes the tackle on the guy trying to return it, they flagged him for blocking below the waist. Now, if you can tell me how he can make a tackle and block at the same time, I'll give you a cookie. I really will. I never understood that one. I was like, you got to be kidding me. And
there's the rub.
It was just crazy. Yeah.
It's horrible. Really quick. Like, look, there's the rub. We have major cheating scandals in all sports except The football one is pre-Super Bowl era and a little bit suspect. Somebody reported during the game that they had tried to use a payphone in the stadium and overheard the coaches collaborating to fix the score. Remember that crazy fucking story from like the 1960s when something like that was possible, and he was able to get that information allegedly, when we still believe journalists, to somebody in the press booth and be like, this, and this is going to happen. And he's like, did everybody hear that? All right, let's all spit in our hands and swear it's true. And then they were like, look, this, and this was said to happen, and it happened exactly like this guy said. Like, we should look into the phones. And they found out maybe the phones might have been rigged, and it was never disproven. And I think people lost their jobs. We're talking like 1961.
Yeah, I mean, it's been prevalent in sports. I mean, we've got the story of the Black Sox. You know,
that's 1919. I was going to ask you about that one compared to let's take two sports, right? In basketball, their official who was fixing games was the highest rated official 4 straight years in a row. He has been removed from the league but didn't go to jail because I believe he now works with the FBI to show other people how cheating happens. Because, hey, who would know? It shows that the league's rules are so subjective that you could be the high. Now, the questions start to pile up. Is he the highest rated and regarded referee because people know they're in on this? Is he the highest rated referee because he did what the league wanted? Or was he just, you could be that petty and still get the high rating because it's that subjective, and he was able to bullshit that well? And like, did he not go to jail because a trial would have ended up in him saying that this rule book says you can cheat and smoke pot, which it does?
Yeah. Well, I you know, it's easy to think. Hey, Padawannabe, what's going on? It's easy to think that's what's going on. Now, as far as it just being entertainment now, that's the way I view it. I don't get really mad about it anymore. You know,
as a Jet fan, my anger reservoir is burned off. But the question would be, like, we saw with baseball, the 1919 Black Sox seemed to prove in the mind of the world that you might be able to try to fix a baseball game, but people will be able to tell, especially in a series. It's like when a guy consistently fucks up his at bat, when a guy is consistently out of position or doesn't shag in the fly. That didn't fly. They were able to tell. The public was able to tell. And for people who don't know, that World Series was questioned for 2 or 3 years before that court case happened. People would not let it go. So baseball, I don't know. It could be impossible to fake. I mean, there's other ways to cheat.
In this
like
day and
steroids.
age where they got cameras everywhere, it would be really tough to do. I mean, look, they caught the Astros stealing signs and communicating it. You know,
didn't save anybody or get. It was 6 weeks after it happened. It makes you wonder how long they sat on it. But my question would be, with subjective sports versus more objective sports, like baseball, a little bit less objective, but still, you know, all sports objective to a certain point. With the human factor being taken out, can we literally fix it, or do we now need to go to a whole new level? Like, is football fixable the way basketball is? Like, what's the most fixable sport, and can you fix football and get away with it without just blatantly lying? Is the shock every week proving they can't fix it? Opinions, gentlemen.
I think, well, if like I just gave an example earlier, Super Bowl 40. I mean, I don't know if they were trying to fix it or if they just totally were imbeciles calling the game. I mean, you go watch that footage again, folks. There is a, I've got, of course, you know, I bought back in the days of, you know, buying when your team won a championship, you got the Blu-ray, right? About the season and everything. And some of the stuff they show from the sidelines, they've got Seahawks guys looking at the camera. They know NFL Films is watching them going, are you believing this, right? And there's actual footage of Ben Roethlisberger telling his teammates on the sideline, I didn't make it. I didn't get there. And they called it a touchdown. And he's sitting there telling his teammates on the sideline, I didn't make it. You know, I don't know. I mean, we were talking before the show about that Buffalo Bills play, and I'm sure we're going to be talking about that. But one guy, this is it right here.
This is the
play. Right the guy from the bottom of the screen. He's got it short, and the guy coming from the top's got it where they made it. You know,
smart pause. Yeah, good move.
Yeah. But anyway, the whole thing.
Here's the 3rd and 3. It looks like he got it there, and they got denied on that play as well.
Yeah, they did look like they got it.
I mean,
that's what I thought.
I don't understand how these refs. how it could just go in the way of the Chiefs' favor. I mean,
well,
are they in?
Okay, now I've said this, and I'm sure Teague's heard me say this because he watches Pregame Party, the show I do every Sunday, and I've been saying for years, one of the deciding factors on who I pick in games is who the home team is, simply because the refs don't want to get shot on the way home. They will lean towards the home. Am I lying? They will lean towards the home team in their stadium.
Home team is elite. Unless that home team is hated by the league. We know there's a couple of teams that the league hates. Tennessee Titans seem to be like beloved by the league until it gets a little too late in the season, and the league's like, oh my God, we have another under 500 playoff team.
You play in Green Bay, you play in New England, you play in Dallas. You know that you're going to get calls against you a lot. They're going to go against you a lot in these venues. I don't know how many times I've seen it happen in those venues where it always leans towards the home team in those.
And it's blue, you're going to get a lot more calls than if your uniform says New York and it's green.
Hello. Yes, absolutely.
All the time.
The Giants, yes, they get a lot of favorable calls. And for some reason, the Jets get screwed every time.
I honestly think it's because the Jets have fallen into having no respect from the league and they don't deserve it. I think they have to earn it. Also, the thing is, like the quick path.
It sure looks like it. And that guy up top, he's got 1 foot on that side, the opposite side of the line to gain. He's got.
It's like the outcome was tailor-made. They swiftly made a bad
call. You
call.
watch this guy come in from the bottom.
He's in the line there.
There's been a few.
But here's the thing, man. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that we've, as a group, Outlaw Bill and Teague and I have talked about this many times. There's been an inconsistency. I don't know if they've done away with the measuring chains altogether. You don't see them anymore on clear measuring. Like they would bring the chains out. We'll take a quick time.
They showed up for the playoffs.
Sometimes it looks like they're on the sideline. Sometimes they're not. And this whole forward progress thing is so inconsistent. Sometimes they spot it where the ball is. Sometimes they spot it where their knee is downed. It's not consistent well, guys, we probably watched less than half a season of the games, and almost every game it was something like that, and the face masking, there doesn't seem to be a minor face mask anymore, like the inadvertent 5-yard face mask. It's always 15 now. And I mean, there's a lot of things that I have gripes about because at this level we shouldn't be dealing with. But the referees too, like you said, everybody's worried about their lives in a literal sense these days because we just don't know what's going to happen. It's ridiculous.
The human factor is going to be hard to take out of it. Now, I've heard the argument, buddy, that they have technology now to where why aren't we doing this digitally? Why don't they have a sensor in the ball? That kind of thing.
Like the puck in NHL.
The best argument about it I heard was on Rich Eisen's show. I don't know if you guys watch.
I watch him occasionally.
Overreaction Monday is one of the best shows out there, man. And him and his producer Chris Brockman get together and talk about stuff. And he brought up the fact, hey, they need to do this digitally. And Rich Eisen looked straight at him and said, okay, if you're going to do that, then I don't want to hear anything from bettors like yourself saying, okay, who produces the sensors, and doesn't that person have part ownership of the Raiders with Tom Brady, and couldn't they who's watching these things and who's going to manipulate it? He said, I don't want to hear any of that if they decide to go to sensors and stuff like that. You're always going to have some kind of human,
or whatever.
That's my whole point is, it was a great argument by Eisen. You're always going to have a human element.
By the way, once you find a way to put that sensor in there, someone will Belichick their way into scrambling the fucking sensor.
Dude,
all right, it's going to happen.
They will.
It's going to happen.
Yes,
well,
absolutely.
we have the technology. They should fix this stuff. I think Troy Aikman is one of the advocates for like They need this. That needs to be fixed. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed. If
Troy
people are gonna-
Aikman's
they
biggest
want people to
advocacy is
stop-
for those caps on the helmets. He loves the padding on the helmets. He wants leather
Guardian
helmets
caps.
back.
Yeah.
You know what? I feel that if I was a player, and God knows I have nothing in common with an NFL player, but be honest, if you played in the league, you wouldn't want that extra shock absorbing. Like, you know you're not going to get hit
Well,
to the point where you'll die with the helmet on in the first place. But don't you want less to... It is what it is. Let's call it what it is. It's a brain bucket. I want mine padded on the outside and the inside.
I mean, the NFL mentality, I've not been a part of this. I understand why. But even in the 80s, why doesn't Jerry Rice wear knee pads? A lot of the guys think some pads, some places do slow them down. A lot of wide receivers
And
don't
then
wear
you've
the
got
hip
Eric
pads.
Dickerson, who
the
wore
knee
every pad known to man and
Mhm.
broke the rushing
Yeah,
record.
and if they're not willing to wear pads to keep their legs safe, the moneymakers, that's what gets them down the field. They got to catch the ball still, but they're wearing wristbands and gloves, and they do things to protect their hands, but then they got to be fast. And that's something, it's like, if you're going to be on the field, unless they do something about this torpedo tackling, I think the helmet should be a little bigger, but I'm kind of surprised if people are worried about weight. Is a wide receiver going to put this thing on? Is a running back who's up for MVP going to think it's in his best interest? That's where it's going to draw that line.
Yeah.
And even though it's a few ounces,
You know what?
they'll make some science against it. Makes you top heavy.
I have an answer for that one. Ready? Bill
Okay.
Romanowski was too afraid to play and walked out of the game because he was just all right. So if that happened to that freaking sociopath,
Right.
and I'm
He
sorry,
was-
Mr. Romanowski, I didn't mean to call you a sociopath, but that's how scary he
the
is.
Romo. He's known as
Who's
the Romo.
scarier? Who's scarier, him or Aaron
Oh,
Hernandez?
man,
Only
man,
Aaron
he
Hernandez
would-
can't
he
hurt
would-
you anymore. Is the only reason.
Did you see what he would that documentary that I sent you that on him?
Oh my
where
God! Yeah, but when
Yeah.
he started talking about being afraid after they built up for 55 minutes, it's just like he was the meanest man in the NFL. That's when he pulled out a pistol and shot the quarterback in the head twice. And it's just like, yep, I came up. That's when they started calling me Johnny Wick, and it's just like worse and worse and worse behavior. And it's like, and I was afraid. I was terrified. I don't think he went in after the half or something. He was like, fuck you, no. And it's just like, from that day forward, he just sat in the corner of his house freaking out.
I love watching him hit people hard. Him and Steve Atwater. I loved him.
Yeah, Atwater was
Watching it,
he
yeah.
hit like a truck.
He hit people
I remember
hard.
the
I mean,
Atwater
you would
days.
feel it.
We were in your division then.
He
Yeah.
would tattoo. I mean, literally tattoo you out on the field. That's just what I missed.
Yeah.
Romanowski to me.
You know what my favorite
I-
hit is though? It's the one that Largent laid on that guy that took out his teeth earlier in the season that one year. You remember what I'm talking about? I show it weekly on the show I do with my brother. And actually, Largent
I remember
said that's his
Harbaugh
favorite
spitting
play
out
of his
a bunch of
entire
teeth.
career. A tackle, not a friggin' catch. Oh, it was awesome. I can't remember that safety's name.
I
Do you
remember
remember his name?
Harbaugh spitting out his teeth after getting hit a couple of times in a playoff
dude.
game. Remember that one?
Yeah, somebody asked me the other day what my favorite championship game was, and I always have the same answer for folks, man. It's the AFC Championship game of 94, I think it was, 95 season, because the Super Bowl was played in 96. It was when the Steelers played the Colts and Harbaugh was the quarterback for the Colts. And it came down to a Hail Mary pass, and the guy had his hands on it and could have caught it and dropped it in the end zone and it sent Pittsburgh up against Dallas so Neil O'Donnell could throw 3 picks to the same guy,
Yeah. And then when he shaved off that
but
homeless
that was a
man
great
beard, his luck went
championship
away.
game. And I loved Harbaugh when he was a player. I mean, he was
He was a
tough,
great player.
man. That guy was tough. He'd do whatever he had to do. He was not a great quarterback by any means, but he was a lunch pail guy. He'd run if he had to. He played like a linebacker. But the thing is, when he became a coach, oh my God, I hated him in San Francisco. He whined and bitched about every play. He wanted a flag on every freaking play. Now, I've watched him in San Diego now, and he's grown up a little bit, I guess, since he won a national championship. He's not like that anymore. But, boy, when he was with the Niners, he bitched constantly about calls, man. It was crazy. Yep. Yeah, man. As far as player safety goes, here's the thing: you're never going to take the violence out of the sport. Okay,
No.
you're never going to take it out of there. And the ones that drive me nuts, and I know why they do it. They're tired of having their prized pupils, the Patrick Mahomes, the Josh Allens, get hurt and be gone for an entire season, so nobody will watch the game. That's why they're protecting these guys. It's for money. It all comes down to money.
Then
every
get
time.
rid of the turf stadiums. Then fucking Aaron Rodgers freaking breaking his ankle.
Even though, yeah,
I
right?
agree, though.
Yeah.
I agree
Oh
with you.
my God, yeah. They should all play on grass. I mean, that's a player safety thing right there. But
I
here's
agree.
the deal: I watched Patrick Mahomes in the divisional round against the Texans sit there and dance between 3 people in front of him, and just dancing back and forth, trying to get a few more inches. And then when he finally makes a move, he lets the guy start coming at him and then hits the ground. These late slides, and the other one that drives me nuts is friggin' Josh Allen doing the same thing, dancing around the sideline right up until somebody hits him and then throwing the ball. That guy is outside the pocket and he's running. He should be treated like a running back. You need to stop throwing these flags for friggin' smoking these dudes. They deserve to be smoked. They're playing the system. Screw them dudes. It just drives me nuts when they throw personal fouls when they're a runner at that point. You can drill this guy, and
then it should just be, is it unsportsmanlike conduct? Because
yeah,
we know there's guys that are going to try and lay into a quarterback, and it's like, hey, dude,
right.
watch. And if it is blatant, I'm more of a fan. Like, kind of the NBA got really hard on it for a while in the past, but the completely flagrant fouls. Like, you didn't have to commit 3 to get thrown out of a game. It's like, if you stand under the thing and then you throw your hands up to make the guy go end over end, or if you and this is a thing the guys have heard me talk about this too. If you're gonna tackle, at least put your arms up like you're trying to wrap him, and the quarterback, if they're like, it can easily be like, what in reference to what you were saying, like for the intentional grounding box. Mm-hmm. Once they're out of that box, they're running. Whether they're scrambling or not, you're running back and forth. You're not a pocket quarterback any longer. Mm-hmm. You are a running back, and that's the same thing. Like, if a wide receiver throws a pass and somebody lays him out, they're not going to have the same quarterback rule. Mm-hmm. So once something changes, the rules should change. And I agree. I like that idea. Mm-hmm. Where I agree, they should be treated like a quarterback, and the franchises should cap things a little more to give them a chance to get a second string quarterback.
Yeah,
or a third string.
The thing it's funny you brought up the NBA. Another thing they need to look at is flopping too.
Oh God,
yeah. The NHL and the NBA have got penalties for that now, and I think they should have it in the NFL.
Flopping makes me not like the player almost immediately. I'm like,
who I saw do it the most this year? Josh Allen. I saw him do it a lot.
Yeah,
and I'm like, dude, that's pansy. What are you doing?
The only credit I can give Allen for is when he runs down the field, he'll put his shoulder down. He recognizes once he's down the field.
I'm not saying
he's tough, but everybody's got their. Every quarterback has their attitude.
The most infuriating one was the one Mahomes took last week. That was
you're talking about the one face to face. What is that the one you're talking about? No, that was against the Texans.
Was it against the Texans or was it last week where he just took like a really bad blatant flop and it was late, it was dramatic, and it was ridiculous.
Well, I noticed something when he got pushed out of bounds. It's like they were out of bounds. The guy kind of pushes off him, not pushes him down, but he's turning, so he's got his hand on him. And he kind of and he takes it.
Is that when the defensive player almost gets a sack or they get penalized for?
There was so many of them.
I saw this year, and I know it's a rule, but what does the guy do? What is he supposed to do? Just decapitate himself before he sacks the quarterback? He's straight up with the guy. Yeah. He's straight.
I would watch that game.
Yeah, it was the Texans game. I'm telling you, there were so many calls against the Texans that were just horrendous. But that one where he got him, he's wrapping him. He's not putting a shoulder in him. He's up high. He's not going low on him, nothing like that. And their helmets touched each other. They threw a flag for blow to the head. And I'm like, what is
There's
he
a lot of
supposed
that.
to do?
What about that kick that hit the tape on the field goal post? I have never in my life, it occurred to me when that happened that if the object of football was only to hit the tape on the post, that would have been the only time I've ever seen anyone score in football in my whole life.
Right.
I was like, Jesus Christ, wow. So they're like, did it like? I think Padawannabe and Bill might have missed the result, and they're like, "Did it go through?" And I'm like,
seeing that.
I was dumbstruck. I was at a loss for words. I was like, it, and then like
I
Padawannabe
said
saw
it
the replay.
missed
It's
the
like, my
field goal,
God.
but he actually hit the tape. I've never.
Yeah, he had to finish the sentence for me. I was dumbfounded.
That was ridiculous.
But as far
That guy shanked 4 that day, I think.
but to Teague's original question that started this whole conversation, can you rig a football game? I think you can change momentum of a football game. That's for damn sure. I mean,
Would we know with the incompetence too, right?
Right.
Throw that
you
in.
know, I mean, I'm sure Minnesota fans are still pissed today about them not calling that face mask on their quarterback in the end zone that one time.
Oh goodness.
There's calls that get missed. There's calls that they make up sometimes. I don't, and I'm not. Let me be clear. I'm using the wrong verbiage. Not make up, but there was a face mask call. I think it was in the Washington Detroit game against one of the Detroit players. And all he did was grab his shoulder, and his hand brushed across the face mask, and they thought it was a face.
And they gave him the big face masking too. They didn't even give him the.
Well,
right?
there's
Or have
only
they
one face
eliminated
mask
now?
call
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
they
think
remembered
that-
as I said it. They
Yeah.
You know what? They really, really need to have that like lesser face masking for when it's that. I was like,
I think
so
they
if you're
do.
not sure but you really want to protect the head, why not have a 7-yard face masking? Something weird, you know.
Well,
split
it used
the
to be
difference.
5 and 15.
Well, I like the 5 and
Right.
the 15 because it would be
Go back to
Go back to
inadvertent.
that then.
They'd kind of give them a chance, like because you'd see it a lot with linemen. They'll go to push up on the pads and they might hit the guard or get a thumb caught. And it's like, and they'll notice, they'll pull it out real quick. That's 5
Right.
yards. You can see when it's inadvertent and when it's blatant.
And when they're
that
grabbing
one,
with intent
they
to rip
called a
somebody's head
face
off,
mask.
that's a different thing, right?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
one where you were saying where he kind of brushes across his face, it was like he had his hand on the. I said, that's not a face mask. That's that old rule, like you're blocking the receiver's vision.
Mhm.
And I don't even know if that, but I don't like it when the refs don't call the actual penalty.
Yeah.
You know, like there's a name for the penalty, say that.
Yeah.
You know, and they'll be like, hands aren't where they're supposed to be. Some bullshit. You know, it's not that vague, but it's like, so why don't you just call that penalty? And then what was the game where they called so many? It was right when I came in and joined you guys. They called so many penalties on the one team for
Chiefs game.
offsides, trying to block some.
Oh,
block
that
a
was
field goal or
that was
something,
Washington versus
because they said they were going to award them
right.
the.
That's
and,
an actual rule.
and I was watching that. I was like, well, how come they're letting them line up in the neutral zone? They were
Yeah,
literally
that's-
helmet to helmet. And I said, this neutral zone is not a thing on this one play. I didn't
should be.
understand that. I
Should
didn't
be.
understand
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
because it's like the length of the ball. Nobody can line up there.
Yeah, that's the neutral zone. You can't
Mhm.
break that. And yeah, I always watch that at the snap, just to see if they throw the flag. for it.
Mhm.
And that's a good play for the quarterback, man.
And the pointing now kills me. Like they'll point, that guy moved, and it's like it's not your job to point. You moved now. It's a false start.
Mhm.
He didn't make you jump.
He has if he
You
doesn't
stood
make
up and
contact, he
pointed.
has a chance to get back. Yes. Yeah.
Yes. And the guys will get up and point, and it's
Yeah.
like, well, you didn't get faked out like he was coming. You just stood up and pointed at the guy.
And you know what? Let's not forget, I think it was maybe a Broncos game where it was like a 90-minute first quarter. They called everything. They conferred on everything. They talked about every single infraction.
Games like that. Wow.
They would not give it up. And this goes on until like the middle of the second quarter. We're like getting close to 2 hours into this freaking football game. When they came out to the second half, they didn't call shit. Like, they were so humiliated from their stupidity that in the second half, it's like, like a guy casually pulled out a pistol and fired it into the stands and took out 3 fans. And it was just like, unsportsmanlike conduct, but, 5 yards. Replay the down.
Was this game in the last Boy Scout?
No, I'm just saying that I think it was honestly like games where we see the caliber of the approach of the call change in mid-game because they've been so ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And New York maybe calls and says to them, when I say New York, I mean league office calls them. It says, you guys have to let them play this game. It's been 90 minutes. It's the first quarter.
Right. Damn it. Get moving.
Do you think
we have another game to be played later?
Do you guys think one of the reasons why the NFL has higher scoring games because all the different sport books are involved with the NFL now?
I think, look, this is my conspiracy theory, gentlemen, and it's been brewing for a couple of years, and I mention it almost every weekend. This analytics thing that these coaches use now to decide whether they go for 2 or 1 or go for it on 4th and short, that kind of thing. I sit here and watch this, and I really like somebody to do the research and see when they started this analytics talk and when the gambling sports books started up, because
you know what?
Those two things seem to be locked at the hip at the same time. And I'm sitting here watching this going, I mean, the coach that did it the worst was that guy that got fired in San Diego a couple of years back. I can't remember his name, but he went for it in every 4th down. I put a post on Facebook one time. The MVP of the winning team was the head coach of the San Diego Chargers, because he made all the wrong decisions. Passed up. I think he passed up like 4 field goals, 12 points he could have had that he passed up, and would have won the game for him. They won. The team they beat him only got him by like 4 points, And I was like, you got to be kidding me with this crap. Anybody that's watched football as long as myself and Teague have watched it, it's got to be pulling their hair out when their coach, Dan Gamble cost his team a trip to the Super Bowl last year. We know Goff cost him this year. We know that.
Right.
Okay. But last year, dude, he had that game. All he had to do was play smart football, punt. Any fucking drive that ends in a kick is a good drive. Okay?
I agree.
It just is.
And the going for 2, I've started to call going for 2 the much down. It's a little much. Like, I think now that the league's been doing it for about 4 or 5 seasons, I want to see this analytic, and I don't, where is it? How many, like, what would happen, like, based on the outcomes, forensically looking back? What would the scores have been if people had just kicked until the 4th quarter when it was at their advantage? I wouldn't consider going for 2 until the 4th quarter if I was an NFL coach.
That was the rule in the past, Teague. You only go for 2 when you have to. That was the whole thing. And I'm sitting here watching games. And listen, I really don't like calling people stupid, but these announcers, when they say it, it drives me up the wall, and I just want to throw something at the television set. A team is ahead by 14 points, right? They're ahead by 14. The team that's behind comes up and scores a touchdown. They're within 8 points now. They kick an extra point. They're within 7.
Right, but they make it a 2-score game by
right. This is what they do. They say, okay, they're going for 2 now, so they can see if they have to go for 2 next time. No,
fucking idiot.
Fucking extra point.
Yeah, you're not going for
win the game.
It's not called going for 4. Exactly.
I still remember the NFL when they didn't have the 2-point conversion. Yeah, I've been watching that long.
Yeah, I
remember the NFL when they had fucking 16 games.
And anytime you want to know what Super Bowl is being played, just ask me how old I am. The one this year is 59. I'm 59 right now. Okay. I'm the same age as the Super Bowl. I'm not saying I've watched all of them, but I've enjoyed a lot of football in my life. I started watching it when I was about friggin' 8 years old with my dad. So, I love the game. And let me tell you, every time one of those announcers tries to explain that analytics crap, I'm just going, you
Shut
are.
up.
It makes me think I'm actually living in idiocracy. That they can try that they can actually make people believe what they're saying. Because I'm sitting there going, no, if you want to get your team in the best chance to win a football game and you're behind by 2 touchdowns, just kick the extra points and tie it up and go from there. I mean,
to be fair, their jobs are on their T-shirts too, just like in Idiocracy. But yes,
right. and to Pat Wanabe's point, I've been watching it so long. I hate the fucking overtime rules. It's sudden death. You want to win?
Yes, I agree. Sudden death.
I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know. This might be the best bad rules we've had.
Yeah.
I hate the ties, but you know what? These are the best bad rules so far.
What cracks me up is the Josh Allen overtime rule where they both have to have a chance in the playoffs. Hasn't benefited him yet. He's 0-6 in the playoffs.
Man,
it's just too funny to me, man. I'm like, look, sudden death. This is the pros. If you want to win a game, win it regulation, man. This ain't college. Yeah. We're not going to a shootout. This ain't the NHL. It's the big boys.
Now with that,
hey, look, if a quarterback came over to me and said, let's go for it on 4th down, I'd look at him and go, do better next time. You didn't do good enough this time.
Yeah.
Get over there, get with your coach, and figure out how to do it next time. We're punting the ball.
Say your piece, Padawannabe.
Oh, sorry. I kind of was choking.
Don't do that.
With the analytics, I think it started with the games, like Madden, because that's how they got their stats to make when they started having to rate all the individual player stats for everybody in the league, even the bench warmers.
Just really quick on that one, the Jets have not denied that they simulated the draft on Madden, and that's the picks they're using. That's Woody Johnson spoke openly of it, like he's that dumb.
That's so bad.
Wasn't it his grandson told him that? Wasn't that it?
That would be funny.
Anything's better than him deciding on his own. If his grandson told him, it's a better idea than if he came up with it.
So the analytics start there, but then there becomes a point because we start becoming this digital realm. Mm-hmm. Football starts using what FanDuel now the online betting is what's going crazy. Those books were always there. The over under, the point spread, all the bets that were there before have always been there. I don't know if the amount of points matters to them as much, but what the analytics did for them, and that they jumped all over it because it was who's going to score first. Is your guy going to score at all? Who gets the coin toss? Who wins the coin toss? They have bets for everything you can think of. If they miss a field goal, will it go wide right? Will it go wide left? So I don't think that is a thing. Yeah. Because I think it was always a thing. I just think now the online, like you can put a new VPN on your phone, have them tell, I live in a state where I can gamble. You know what I mean? So I think that's all benefiting now. And because we're all on, everybody's watching streaming to get football, because probably the dominant customer watching there is streaming it somehow. Yeah. Because the demographic for football is young to old. So somebody may be watching the game and it's like, Dad, I don't want to watch that. So they watch it on their phone and wherever,
on the phone and the gambling and all that. I want to make it clear how big this is. Until New York legalized gambling 3-4 years back, one big business that people would do as a side hustle that was huge. Think about this. people join your service, they buy a burner phone, they take that phone, they bring it to you, or you hold on to it. You drive to New Jersey with that phone. You hang out there from before the first game till after the last game, and you go back on Monday, you go back on Thursday, and you have to pay that guy a vig of what and a certain fee so that you can quote unquote be present in New Jersey to gamble.
Yeah.
And there were people doing that and making a living. They were called the mafia, but I mean, it's still,
Yeah.
Now with the and then
I'm
we go
Italian. I
along,
can bet on it.
along the lines to could you rig an entire game? Yeah, you could, but you'd have to have a lot of players
Would
and
we know?
refs involved in this, and they'd have to be such good actors. Like
Well,
they would have to make it look like they legitimately
I have-
flipping
What if the
or
way they
missing
rig
the
it-
ball or
What
you
if they
know-
rig it by making the officiating look incompetent? Have we seen enough incompetent officiating that we'd be like, "Yep, it's just a bad game"?
Well, at this
that Ravens game,
point,
not this year, but
if
last that
there
playoff
was-
game, that looked fixed. All the
I
subjective
wouldn't
calls
put
on
it past in this age if they did a call that was so bad. I almost think there'd be an unheard of, like the commissioner calls the game. And they're
How
like,
about-
you
yeah,
need to
well,
get that guy out of
hey,
here
Don't
now.
you think New Orleans Saints would have been beneficiaries of that whenever the Rams guy took out their wide receiver a few years back? Do you remember that? I mean, it was a WWE movie pulled on this guy before the ball got there,
Yeah.
and they didn't even throw a flag. It was
Mhm.
ridiculous.
If your owner is a jerk who embarrasses the league, like the owner of the Jets, your team will be punished for it on the field. We never see the Jets get a subjective call, and I've seen Jets calls that are ridiculous. It's like, oh, that one was written to protect Jim Thorpe. They're calling it on the New York Jets. It's like, what the fuck? It's like aspiring to win while wearing a Jets uniform. That's going to cost them.
Yeah, well, the guys that are going to, if they try to rig a game, the guys that will probably call it the quickest is the coaches, because they bitch about everything. And if
Here's
they
the thing.
if they put a magnifying glass on it, then they would really be tripping.
I want to know this one, though. There's rules against questioning the officiating, especially while you're in the league. You can't question the officiating at the press conference. You have to you pay a fine if you do it. I mean, it happens, but you pay a fine, right? There's a price on freedom of speech in the NFL. What I'm saying, and I asked my co-host this, I think this is true. If we seen so much incompetence and so much arbitrary BS that if the league decided to fix a game and their method was not to have players be compromised, but simply have one terrible call after another drive it to not maybe the exact score, but pretty close and a predetermined outcome. If they did do that, would we even be able to tell? We'd be like, yep, that game was as bad as the usual. Like people just be like, yep, same old NFL. They might have established it, guys.
So what you're saying is they've gotten us used to it with bad calls.
If the approach was to only do it with bad calls and no player was compromised at all, just the officiating team, the third team, would we be able to tell? We'd be like, yep, that's pretty much what I've come to expect. That's my question.
Yeah. Hey, maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's conditioning, just like you're talking about.
There was one question. Well, Resolute Germ says he doesn't think the players are involved. I don't know.
I'm with Germ.
There was that when the Broncos played the who they were playing the Chiefs the first time and they lost.
2 words for you, Charlie Hustle.
That was the game with all the flags in the first quarter. That was the really long first quarter.
And that's the one that last play. The lineman, he just falls backwards. Did he even try to block? I don't understand. As an NFL professional, how do you just fall backwards and then the Chiefs block the kick to win the game? That was the bizarre game. It's like, was that guy Bronco played extra money to fall backwards?
That was a killer.
That was a killer.
They won that game. They won it.
Well, was it the center? Was it the guy hiking the ball?
No, it was off.
Oh no, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
And if it's not the center, what I have to say doesn't.
It was Denver would have won it if they made that field goal, but the player fell backwards and it allowed that Chiefs guy to block the kick. But I mean, how do you just fall backwards? How do you
that kind of fixing, right? Like if you pull that, if you try that for 60 minutes, we're gonna get it. The 1919 World Series kind of proves, like, if you don't try to catch the football like twice in a row, people are going to be like, what the fuck? And you'll have a riot in the stadium, and you cannot control 100,000 angry drunk gamblers.
No.
Because that's what's in a football stadium.
That is what's in a football stadium.
Let's be honest. I go there. I go to these games.
And I can't say that this is what that guy felt. But I know if I line up and I'm like, oh, I'm going to block this dude. And then the ball's hiked and I realize that he's flat out got me beat, I might fall backwards. Just because you can't get there, but you're still trying. And it's like, that's your move. Because you're like, I just got whooped. Sometimes you're like, fuck. And I'm not saying that's what happened with that guy, but I've been in that position where all you can do is, maybe I can get in his way.
What's your guys' opinion on the found outrage about that some of them should boycott Super Bowl 59? Do you think it's going to happen? How much do you think it overall affect the coming Super Bowl this Sunday?
Okay, it would have to be Bud Light level boycott.
Yeah, they're not
boycotting. For the NFL to not get all their funding. It would have to be so big.
This game is a national holiday, basically. People call into work the next day. And don't forget, I pointed this out last night on me and my brother's show. We do headlines during the week. Our governor here, Mr. Landry, has extended the state of emergency where he's keeping the National Guard in the city. You guys remember the truck thing that happened not too long ago down there in Bourbon Street? He's keeping the status quo up right now all the way through the Super Bowl and Mardi Gras. So
you know what? Do it. It's the smartest thing to do.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
went to a football game after 9/11. There's nothing like 5,000 guardsmen with M16s to make you feel like it's going to be okay.
Yeah, right.
It's serious.
Seriously, yes, absolutely. A show of strength on the street.
And God bless our first responders.
I'm gonna laugh if there's a halftime show of drones and everybody's like, nobody planned this.
They're already worried about.
These are just out of nowhere.
Locally, we're already hearing that they're worried about whatever the rapper they've got,
whatever's happening,
whoever that guy.
Yeah,
playing at halftime. They're worried about it being family friendly. So. But what I was going to say leading up to that is if we see the numbers down for the Super Bowl, I don't think it'll be a boycott. I think it'll be, if the numbers are down, I don't think there will be. I think that place is going to be packed because, half of these people that go to this, it's all already prepaid for tickets for corporations and shit. This is a holiday for a lot of these
like Make-A-Wish and all the handicap.
So what is the basis of the boycott?
The numbers will be down because people are afraid of what happened down on Bourbon Street. I don't think it'll be a boycott.
Do they talk about not going to the actual game? Because that ain't happening. Those millionaires are going to use their $15,000 tickets. Yeah. Or is the boycott that we, the end user fans, don't watch this game?
That's the thing. The numbers may be down this year for viewership.
Or will they be diffused because people will watch it with us and people will watch it? You know what I mean? Like the network numbers will be down. However, your commercial will still be seen by everyone who didn't want to leave the room because they'll be watching it here.
$1 million they're charging for the peak.
Well, and if I'm going to the bar
7 houses, right?
Guy, I'm going to the bar as a single man. I may not watch the game, but I'm still going because there's going to be people there that I might want to talk to.
If you're going to the bar as a single guy, you go in the fourth quarter when bad decision-making starts setting in and maybe they're desperate.
All the girls get prettier.
Admiral Teague's going to be leaving coverage at the end of the third quarter when we do the Super Bowl. I'll be back for the post game. Maybe. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to boycott it. I think
what was the basis, though?
They didn't want. I think everybody in the country was rooting for the Buffalo Bills and the Washington Commanders last week. It just didn't happen,
Except for X-Files fans. Just really quick, what was the basis of the boycott? That it's fixed, that it's too expensive, that they're out of touch, that all the players are dicks? I mean, because I could sign on to every one of those.
Yeah, right.
What was it? Just that the outcomes were so bad in the two games? The officiating was so.
I think it's officiating because officiating has kind of been under fire the last few years, but it's the fact that all the viewers are like, KC seems to be making it through the playoffs awfully easy every year.
Well, I will say this: we would teach the legal lesson if we just made a Super Bowl stadium in Hawaii and only
When
flew
was-
in like veterans to go to the game. Just make it something worthwhile for a change.
I don't understand why they don't do the Pro Bowl out there now too.
It's
I
so
don't.
different.
They do it in Vegas now.
Oh, the Pro Bowl got really low viewing ratings this year.
No one gave a
But at
shit.
least
I
you
bet
get
you the
the
skills
good players
competition.
to a good time in Honolulu.
Yeah.
I mean, damn.
Oh, and I wanted to throw this in also with the analytics, with the coaches that only go by the analytics, you're changing the analytics in a way that is not natural. Like, okay, it shows we have this percentage last season. Well, one that was last season or the first few games. Everything will change. Guys get hurt all the time. But if you go for it on fourth down every time, yeah, you're going to change that analytic. It's not necessarily true.
The averages are going to change.
So that a lot of that is workable, and there isn't as much gut football as there used to be. That we're going to go for it because I really believe we can get it.
Super Bowl is free on Tubi this year. Wow.
Yeah, it is.
You
Every time you sign into Tubi right now, you see the Super Bowl 59 logo and a football thrown at you.
Here's a question. The word Super Bowl, right? They tried to brand it for a real long time. Remember, it used to say Super Bowl in the commercials, and then they were like, the big game at the end of the year, and they had to dance around it just a little. We still knew what they meant. But we, in the new media on YouTube, we can put Super Bowl. And they can't. I don't understand how those rights work. I wonder if that will be changed.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people have been saying that when they come up with the logo and then they met that public, the logo for Super Bowl, it predicts who's going to be in the Super Bowl and who's going to win the Super
Like
Bowl.
the colors and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I've
like
seen this
it's
thing.
definitely Kansas City colors right there,
And they've even done ones. I've listened to a radio show that talked about this a while back, and they were like, no matter what the color, they were almost always able to make it. It would even be like, well, this year it was like this, and they're like, but what happens when you put the two jersey colors together? Like there was this theory does go so deep. It's funny, but it's real similar to the Madden curse.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you were the greatest of everybody the year before. Now you just can't even get 500 yards. Or
how many of you here on the panel think that we are going to witness a three-peat?
Who's in it?
Now, if I was a betting guy, which
Washington?
I'm not, I'd put my money on them. But
Eagles.
I really
Chiefs.
think I think that Saquon is going to have something to say about it. I think that guy's on a mission, man. He opened up the championship game with a 60-something plus run. I mean,
that dude's a beast, man.
And you've got to admit that. Look, the smallest guy on the Eagles front line is 6'4", 320 pounds. That's the smallest guy. They have got mammoth human beings on that line,
and they need to. I mean,
Hurts was a youngster the first time he played in this game. He's played several games since. It depends on which Hurts we get. They're gonna, Spagnola's gonna have a great defense lined up for them to try and stop Barkley. But if I know him, he's going to try and stop. He's going to try and make Hurts beat him. And Hurts 1 week will look like Joe Montana, and the next week he'll look like friggin' Jay Cutler. Just crazy.
We use Bubby Brister as our terrible all-time quarterback reference. Yeah, we always go. Maybe we'll start talking about Steve Boozer too, because he just got a great name, right? It's fun, real fun to say.
I'm just hoping it's a good game. Anytime I don't have a dog in the hunt, if we see a three-peat, we see history. But I hate to tell you guys, it's been done before. The Green Bay Packers did it. Of course, it wasn't Super Bowls. This would be the first one of the Super Bowl era. But if you remember, the Packers won the NFL championship the year before they won the first two Super Bowls. So it has been done before. But technically, in the Super Bowl era, it hasn't been done. But that'll be history, and that'll be cool to see. As long as it's not a screw job, like what happened to my guys in friggin' 40. But if the Philadelphia Eagles pull it off, I hate the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, let me be clear. I hate this football team. I can't stand them. Don't
I hate the Chiefs.
Anything about them. But I will be happy for Saquon Barkley. I think that guy is a good guy, and he deserves his roses, So
my prediction, Super Bowl prediction for Super Bowl 59 is the Eagles by 7. Now, I'm also fearful that if it goes the way of the Chiefs, I'm just gonna call them right out and say this whole shit is freaking rigged and it's been set from the get go. I'm gonna call it out live on live YouTube.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, hey, there's a chance of it happening. So.
If you guys want to give your predictions, go ahead. We'll start with you, Admiral Teague.
I don't care who wins.
That's the way a lot of the country feels, Teague. It really does.
Yeah. I don't care. Look, you know what? I'm Harrison Ford on this one. I don't care.
Somebody.
You know what? Maybe let's say like it would be nice to see, Pat Mahomes just because celebrating with his son Patrick because he was a Met. So, okay, if anybody has to win, I guess I want it for Pat Mahomes, who got denied by the Yankees. The Yankees, pitchers and catchers in 2 weeks. And you know what? My thought on this game is it's not a coincidence that the Super Bowl was moved back in the series and the season was extended. It's to get it closer to tax return day so that your bookie doesn't have to kill you. It's good for the economy. Think about how much closer it is than when it was when we were kids. Joe, the Super Bowl used to be played like 3 weeks after New Year's.
Dude,
now it's played like
January. Yeah, I mean,
yeah. Now you can watch the Super Bowl from a spring training baseball game if you want.
That's it.
Theoretically true.
All right, Joe's Atmosphere. What is your prediction for Super Bowl 59?
I am gonna say it's. I hate to say it, but I think it's going to be the Chiefs. I think they're going to. Spags is going to look. The guy that is the MVP of that team, it's always Patrick Mahomes, but you could easily say it's Steve Spagnuolo. He may not have ever been a good head coach, but some guys are just meant to be coordinators, and he's a great.
I can't remember the last time I've seen Mahomes and the Chiefs like really, really down in a game and like super like come from behind type of win. When was it? It's been like forever. They've been ahead.
That used to be their mantra. They used to get down 10 points just to wake up, and then come back. But you're right. It's been close here recently. Every game's close, and it has a lot to do with Steve. Look, Chris Jones reminds me so much of Richard Seymour on that early Patriots team around 01 when they won the first one. He's the kind of guy you build a defense around. He is that much of a monster. And if Philly contains him, then they'll win the game. But he's hard to contain. Like Barkley, he's the guy on the Chiefs that they have to worry about the most. Chris blowing it up on him. I'm going to say it's the Chiefs. I think it's going to be closer than people think. It's not going to be a blowout. And I'm going to say they're going to win 23-20. That's what I think the final will be.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, Pat Wannabe, what is your prediction for Super Bowl 59?
Well, I'm not happy about this either, but I gotta say the Kansas City Swifties by 10. We've questioned this all for much of the season, and I do think I have the answer of our questions. Why is there so much of Taylor Swift on camera? And obviously there's the thing going on between her and the guy on the field that is gonna take her name once they get married.
Well,
they'll get married. That'll be the year that Taylor Swift announces she's gonna do the Super Bowl, and that'll be the first year Kansas City doesn't even make the playoffs. So I think Swifties by 10, and I am glad Taylor Swift is on camera much more than Patrick Mahomes' crazy wife, because she gets a little out of hand all the time. And I've even noticed now that Swift is not even in the same cubicle with her anymore, from what I can tell. So I think that's hilarious. But yeah, I do have kind of a hometown tie to Philadelphia. Like I told you guys, my high school team was the Eagles. So I always kind of outwardly wanted them to do good. And I've been watching football since the 80s. So there was, Randall Cunningham taking the Eagles and all that stuff. There was a reason to root for him back in the day. And I'd hate to see teams win things so easy. Even when Chicago made their run, they weren't just kind of winning. They were showing us history.
Yeah, they were.
And I can't say we're going to see much of history that Kansas City's going to bring other than how many Super Bowls they win, because nobody's going, there's not the run, the catch, the immaculate anything in these games. It's like, come on. Of course they win. That's what we're getting these last few years.
We had to play that was really fantastic, though. That one where Mahomes was being drugged down by his ankle, and he still got it right.
And he sidearmed it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, God. That was, that guy does things that you can't coach.
Because like you were saying, some of these quarterbacks, they act like running backs. And that's something I've noticed with Mahomes. The defense, first of all, likes to spread out. And you were mentioning that the offensive line of Philadelphia is so big. So hopefully they can compensate for that, because I've noticed a lot of people don't even do anything. So many sacks and so many stuffs are happening. Untouched rushers. You only have to rush 4 people. We're not blitzing. We're rushing 4 guys.
Right.
So if they can stop that, the game will change. But Kansas City has basically like 6 wide receivers on every play. They have a tight end that can go out and a running back that can catch the ball. So that increases everything. You can't have enough people to cover all that. So that's always the problem there. Because if Mahomes gets out, and this is what I was saying, acting like the running backs, you see Mahomes do a juke step. He sees the guy coming at him, and he'll fake like he's gonna run just to bootleg and give him more time. And it's like, that's something I've not seen from quarterbacks since Michael Vick, the guys that could run, and they're like, oh, I'm just gonna make you fall down, and then I'll have all the time in the world to throw this, So, there's other quarterbacks, but because Mahomes can at any time, he can just run. You have so many wide receivers on the field, he's either wide open or somebody's wide open. And that's, it's
pick your poison, right? I think that's what you're trying to say. Pick your poison.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to cover all the guys, or you're going to stop him.
Or you send one guy blitzing, and exactly, you have a guy. Linebackers can't cover wide receivers. Cornerbacks can't cover tight ends. There's things that we haven't. Well, we may never see a 6'2" cornerback. I don't know.
That's the thing.
Brandon Browner was 6'2".
Well, okay. We got one.
Carroll kept guys at corner, man. He said, I don't want them to see the forest for the trees, baby.
No.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
you're right. Those smaller guys, they are.
I do think Kansas City will win this, but I'm tired of seeing them win, because it turns into, of course they get the call, of course this happens. It's just hope.
Yeah, but after this, they start to tear them down. Yeah. Starting next year, they won't be able to do anything right. They'll be like the 1987 Mets. Trust me.
If they get the 3-peat, they're going to be in contenders for the 4th P, because they want it. They're golden.
At that point, the media will be against them.
The Chiefs are the golden goose of the NFL right now. That's how I look at it.
Taylor Swift won't be on tour all of next year, being an economic force. The Swifties will kind of subside for a moment, and I believe that if you look at our society, there's always been more money in tearing people down than building people up. They build them up for 3-4 years, but then the tear down, it's orgasmic. People are just waiting for Patrick Mahomes to do some shit. His wife's already been on the griddle once or twice for being a little bit too much of a bitch here and there.
His brother, yeah, no kidding. That wackadoo's been all over the news. Yeah.
I'm still angry at his father for that fucking game he lost that I had money on back in fucking 1998. So, don't get me started with this fucking guy. And by the way, I'm still ducking that boogie. Hello, Bookie. Hello, Space Fraggle.
Hey,
it's good to see you. Tell your friends about us. We've had a great football roundtable. I don't know if anyone wants to answer the question in the private chat with the 10-foot pole. I'll just sit back and listen. I already know.
Let's see. Why they're cursed? You know what? There are franchises, you guys being one of them.
But the question is this, guys. Why are the Jets horrible? Why will they always be horrible? And are they cursed? Explain.
And are they cursed? I really believe you guys and the Browns may be the most cursed franchises the NFL has ever seen. I mean, really. Although the Browns have the lead on you for that, though. You did. Look, let me tell you something, and only old fucks like me and Teague know this. You can thank the New York Jets for the NFL you're watching today and a guy named Joe Namath. Okay? You can thank this guy.
No.
Name it.
You can thank this dude right here.
Yeah.
He's hanging on my wall.
There he goes.
From Roll Tide, Alabama. This guy, the guy with two bad knees, and his guarantee that he was going to win Super Bowl III. It was the biggest upset in football history at that time. And that's when the NFL decided, you know what? The AFL is not going to kick our ass in the Super Bowl every other year. We're just going to buy them and make them part of the league. So you can thank Joe Willie Namath for that. Can't they, Teague? Can't they?
Look, Well, looks like we got a Jets jihadist.
Not the Jets jihadist.
Hallowed be thy nameth. Hallowed be thy nameth. You know what? I've become radicalized by the talk of the last few minutes. I came in here a normal football fan. Now, thinking not so pure thoughts. It has been a fucking nonstop nightmare. I want to say, we have every single fucking problem. Our quarterback, you know what? Thanks for your service in World War II, but it's a long fucking time ago. Our owner, you're a fucking idiot, bro. Our other owner, Tila Tequila, way to get in on the ground floor of a football team. Too bad for you, it wasn't a good one. You know what? Can we try to pray that someone marries, into, another family and gets an infusion of DNA in 60 years the Jets are good? This is what I desire from the New York Jets as the Jets jihadists, and I speak from the bottom of my heart. Please do these things. Stay in London, change your name. Leave town and change your name. Now look, I say this as a Jets fan. Leave town now and change your name. And this is what will happen. In about 3 years, people will forget how shitty you were. And in 5 years, there'll be people wearing your jerseys all over the place, and people will be writing letters to bring you back. Get the suck out of your system in London. This is the reason why you had to leave the state and play in New Jersey. You belong in that wasteland in New Jersey, okay? Among the fucking petroleum refineries, in the swamp, by the fucking chemical fucking rendering plants. That is where you belong until you've shown you can win. Stay in England, be the London fucking Monarchs, and when you come back, be the New Jersey Redcoats. Change your fucking name and leave town.
Wow.
I have spoken.
Wait, words and pictures says don't stay in London.
Don't stay in London.
Howdy, words and pictures are.
Why should you have it any easier? I'll tell you what. We'll take Man U. You can have the fucking Jets.
Oh man.
You can have anything but the Yankees.
Stick with them, Teague. It's going to be okay, man. It's going to be okay.
No, it's not.
Come on,
until our owner goes,
look,
we'll get the winds of winter before we get a Super Bowl.
The Saints fans never thought in a million years they'd ever win a Super Bowl. They never thought they would. They never did. So there's hope, brother.
Don't say that, because our owner will go draft Peyton Manning or offer him a contract. He'll be like, "You won for the Saints, you can win for us." He's like, "Sir."
What's the kid's name that's at Texas right now?
Arch Manning.
For some reason, decided not to use in short yardage during the bowl game.
I thought you meant Cooper Manning's son, who is now playing for. I thought it was Tennessee he was playing for, but he is in the NCAA, and he's playing well. It looks like.
You talk about Arch Manning. Arch Manning. Texas. He's the backup quarterback in Texas. Yeah.
He did make it into a game. I saw him play, and he looked all right. The reason why
you're thinking Tennessee, he was talking about going into the portal to change teams, but I don't know.
Everybody from that family sort of siphons through Tennessee, except, is it Eli?
Eli went through where his dad went, Ole Miss.
Prison League.
Yeah. Prison League.
Ogie Oglethorpe was one of his blockers. He changed sports.
Look, man, you can say what you want about Eli, man. He's undefeated in the Super Bowl.
Eli Manning, at the end of his career, was just one of those bipolar quarterbacks. He would show up and be great for the first half, and maybe they could hold the lead, or he'd show up and be terrible for the first half, and maybe he would come back, because he was a different guy in both halves every year, every game for the last 3 years. Every game.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And that Super Bowl features the weirdest catch of all time, too, that last Giants Super Bowl. Off the top of your head, David Tyree.
That was the first one.
Sorry, that was the weirdest
the
catch of
first time
all
they beat the
freaking
Patriots.
time.
The second
Well,
one is where he hit that deep ball way down the field on the sideline to get in field goal range to beat him at the end. Yeah.
It just shows that the same people who gave us Rosemary's Baby quite literally decide who wins the Super Bowl with that catch off the hat and the other play we're talking about and other crazy shit.
Yeah.
Broadway Joe give his soul so the Jets can win.
Yeah, right.
Broadway Joe may be the problem. He may have to shuffle off this mortal coil by natural causes, of course.
Is it him?
And we have to get Fireman Eddie out of that stadium.
So-
He's not cheering his best anymore.
Well, he's getting old, man. He's been doing that a long time.
How do firemen manage to be off every Sunday for fucking 20 years? It's like we're not going to have any fires in the Bronx this week, so Eddie can go to the game on Sunday. We're gonna.
So
if you could burn your house down on Thursday.
Super Bowl 59. Are you going to boycott, or are you going to be here watch it with us here on the Outlaw Bill Sports Network, where we cover it live, play-by-play, right here?
That's a
on
contradiction.
On
You
the
are
Ocho.
boycotting it. If you watch it here, you are
On the
boycotting
Ocho.
it. Because only we will get
party.
credit.
So I'm gonna be watching it with my buddies right here on my big screen out there. Me and Foxy are gonna entertain next weekend.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're gonna have a good time.
All right. Well, thank you guys for your time. That will about wrap it up for today. We'll see you Super Bowl Sunday here on the Ocho.
Yeah, if you want to hear an alternate play-by-play, him and Teague do a great one. So you need to watch it.
And the
That's
Padawan
bro. That's your two.
Oh, does he? Is he on
Padawan
YouTube every time I've seen
He's
it?
the best.
Most of
play-by-play
them.
guy.
Yes.
I come in
He's
late
a
a
great
lot.
play-by-play guy.
Yeah.
My observations are on how stupidly dressed the people in the booth are, how stupidly dressed the female sideline reporter is, and how stupid the rules are.
As
I
only
focus
you
on
do,
that.
brother. Yes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
it's a riot.
Sometimes I
I've
watch the
watched
game for a
it.
while.
It's great, man.
Yeah.
You guys need to check it out if you want to watch something good. Hey, I do it with sometimes during wrestling. I'll watch Wrestle Talk because they'll do like you guys do. They'll do a live reaction to the wrestling show, and I'll sync the two up and watch it. So yeah, it's very cool. You guys,
Quite honestly, on Thursday we are better than the Amazon people. Like
Oh,
it might
hell
be
yeah.
worth it to watch the Amazon halftime. They're so batshit insane. Like we might not be able to beat that level of insanity. We basically do play-by-play on how insane they are. It's like, okay, Fitzy, this shows you that you don't have to be a genius to get out of Harvard here, Fitzy.
right?
Crush purple velvet tuxedo and Hawaiian shirt, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
Dresses these people, yeah, bright
Admiral-
orange
Admiral
plaid.
T-
What the fuck is that shit? Come on, man.
Admiral Teague, now's the time to plug your channel.
Okay, listen, hey, I'll be on tonight doing the final episode of 1883 Watch Party. Watch that. Get ready for season 2 of 1923. Check out my 1923 videos are going to drop this week. Plus, please check out yesterday's Enterprise, my video essay. It's only 20 minutes long, and it's pretty fucking good. And my panel does a great job on that one. And every Saturday night at 9:30 Eastern, you can find me doing an episode of Star Trek Watch Party. Join me. You'll be well treated.
All right. Joe's atmosphere, what you got coming up?
My schedule's on the page. I do want to shout out That 70s Rock Fan. We're going to be on there at the top of the hour doing one of the best sci-fi thrillers ever of all time, Capricorn 1. If you've never seen it, it's free on YouTube. You can watch it there. It's fantastic. It's got Josh Brolin's dad. And O.J. Simpson actually acts in it, not killing people. He actually does some actual acting in it. And Sam Waterston, it rounds out the 3 astronauts in that movie.
Killer performance by O.J.
So come check that out over on That 70s Rock Fans channel. And I know there's some Star Trek fans out there because Teague's here and his gang follows him. I'll be playing Star Trek Online tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Central Time on Papa Joe Gamer After Dark. Video games, cocktails, and fails. So come check it out. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me, Outlaw Bill. It's a great time. Man.
Thank you for dropping in. All right. Pat and Barnaby, you got anything that you're going to be co-hosting with or doing anything?
We were supposed to do Farscape yesterday, but it got canceled. So I'm not sure if Tuesday and Thursday will happen. But normally Tuesday, Thursday, we watch movies. Watch Party on Appion's channel. We're currently watching we watched Hellboy 1, so we're watching Hellboy 2. So that'll be Tuesday or Thursday. So watch his notifications for that. I'll be here doing the game with y'all. So watch out for notifications for that. And I will be starting my channel soon this week. Well, 1 week got put on hiatus, so I'm a little behind schedule, but I'm going to be starting soon. So watch my notifications for that. Not really anything solid on there yet. I have my first idea. My first Lego build is already done. I just need to figure out the streaming still. But I'll get there. So just if you're interested in watching Lego builds and then future stuff, go ahead and subscribe to the Padawannabe on YouTube.
Okay. I'm looking for your trying to get your link in there, Joe's.
Oh, mine?
Yeah.
It's just like the way it's spelled on the screen. Joe's Atmosphere with an F instead of a PH.
I'm on it, Bill. Don't worry about
it.
Okay. But what time are you guys starting Super Bowl Sunday?
Right after this.
No.
That 2 hour lightning delay game felt like, what was that? It ended up being like 6 hours of broadcasting. We were just like,
oh my God.
And I guess the game's gonna end. Who fucking cares? Who's playing again?
4:30 Mountain. I guess at about 6:30 Eastern.
Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna start at kickoff then. Okay.
Yeah, right about there. You know.
All right, I'll have to
Maybe
stick
we'll go
my head
20
in the
minutes
chat
early.
and say hey. Yeah.
Yeah, we might go a little. There we go. There's
Joe.
Yep, that's me.
Go subscribe and give them likes, give them comments.
I appreciate it. And you need to subscribe to everybody here.
Absolutely.
If you're not subscribed, like, share, subscribe, shout it out, do it.
Thank you for being here, Resolute Germ, Space Fraggle, Words and Pictures, our friend from across the pond. As always, it's been awesome. FKH C2005 was here, Tim. You know, as always, be excellent to each other, party on, and we'll see you on the next one. Later, folks.
Bye.
Bye.